I think that everybody has some sort of fantasy that they've concocted about what they would do if they won the lotto. Personally, one of my favorite daydreams is to imagine driving around the country and doing nice things for people at random. You know, stopping to get McDonald's and paying for the next dozen people behind me. Going to a random mechanic shop, and paying off all the outstanding invoices for people who are getting their car fixed. Dropping an envelope of $20 bills on a table at the restaurant where we had a particularly good waiter or waitress serve us, and then leaving before they have a chance to see what kind of tip we leave. Basically, just doing things to bring a little joy and goodwill into the world. Today's Christmas movie is the story about a man doing just that, except he does things with a Christmas theme to them. You could say he's doing random acts of Christmas. The movie opens like many Hallmark movies do, with a sweeping overhead shot of a city. This time we are in Chicago, and our protagonist is introduced and is named Sydney Larkin, and she's a reporter who has just been handed a hot story she needs to advance her career. See, throughout the city of Chicago, there have been these random acts of Christmas happening, performed by a guy known as Secret Santa. And her boss wants to know who he is and what he has planned next. Throughout the movie, this Secret Santa does a bunch of different gestures of goodwill. These include free bus passes being handed out by elves, delicious looking sugar cakes being provided to the citizens. Seriously, look at these things. They're gorgeous. Look very tasty. I want a free cake. Delivering poinsettias to everyone in the neighborhood. Creating a tobogganing hill in the middle of the park, complete with freshly dumped snow. Leaving candy canes on people's cars so they have a sweet treat when they get back from whatever business they're doing. Plus, giant, completely improbable holograms in the sky. I thought I was watching a romance movie. What is with this sci-fi shit in this? With each new act of Christmas joy, he breathes a little bit of Christmas magic back into the streets of Chicago. As Sydney works on tracking down the Secret Santa, she runs into a fellow and rival reporter named Colin, who is also on the story. At least, that's the story he tells her. But I bet you will never guess his real identity. Wink, wink. Anyway, the two quickly hit it off, and he pretends to be on the same story just so he can spend a little more time with her. And she seems to be just as smitten with him as well. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Sydney actually has a son. That's right, she's another single parent, trying to reconnect with her kid at Christmas time. As with a lot of the cases where it's an adult talking to a kid, the interactions come across as very forced and cheesy. I don't know what it is about these kind of movies. They always portray the relationship between parents and kids as either overly adult, like the kid is super intelligent and mature for his age, or the adult becomes decidedly stupider and younger whenever they're talking to the kid. Just once I'd like one of these movies to have them talk to the kid as if they would talk to a kid in real life. Although I do know a lot of people that dummy down their speech when it comes to talking to kids. I've never been somebody that does that, so I guess maybe this is just my own little pet peeve. Anyway, this relationship between Sydney and her son is one of the things that attracts Cole to her, which I think is a nice touch. I also think that it's kind of cool that he wants her to get to know him and like him without her knowing that he's rich. It's not that she needs the money or needs rescuing. I mean, look at this house. She is clearly making enough money as a reporter to afford a nice house like this. She's not struggling, is what I'm saying. But it is understandable. I mean, if you've got a ton of money, that you'd want to be very careful about who you let into your life. They're not just looking for a quick payday. Of course, him not telling her he has money and that he's actually the Secret Santa is multiple lies he's telling her, which will put a strain on their eventual relationship, as we will soon see in this movie. When Sydney and Cole have a date scheduled, Sydney is a bit nervous for the occasion and spends a fair bit of time trying to decide on what dress to wear. Come on now, we all know your color is pink. See? You look great. Yes, Erin Cahill, the star of this movie, is one of those former Power Ranger actresses. And not just any Power Ranger. She was Jen Scott's, the Pink Time Force Ranger, who was actually the first female Ranger to lead a team. And her season of Time Force, it's basically just a Hallmark movie. It has a star-crossed lover storyline, culminating with this.
I wish you could stay.
Me too. But we both know I can't.
Every time I see this clip, I just start shouting, "Kiss her, damn it! Kiss her!" Anyway, back at Christmas in Chicago, eventually Colin's real identity is exposed, and we get the typical liar revealed scenes, and we hit the point of the movie where the main character Sydney has to decide if she's going to forgive him or let him go. Of course, we kind of all know how that story is going to turn out. Will she forgive him? Will Christmas be saved? I guess you'll have to watch the end of the movie to find out. Random Acts of Christmas is a fun movie, and is one of those movies which I would call more lighthearted. By that I mean it's clearly operating on a much smaller budget than those that are made by Netflix or some of the Hallmark original movies, and the story is a lot more basic and straight to the point. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, in some cases I feel like that's a good thing. Sometimes you just want to sit and watch a cheesy romance movie and not have to get suckered into some existential drama created by a bloated script. The premise of a man just doing some good deeds in the city and a batch of reporters hunting him down because there has to be some sort of ulterior motive to it. It just strikes a little too close to home and reminds me that in the real world, you don't hate the media enough. I have no doubt that real reporters in this day and age would assign some sort of political angle to the story and harass the recipients of the goodwill on the way to trying to get a few more eyeballs on their product, even at the cost of something wonderful and magical. Luckily, the reporters in this movie are more altruistic in nature, and it serves as just a decent plot device to get our two leads together and not some sort of evil machinations that need to be unraveled. In a similar vein, the reason that the Good Samaritan is doing these charitable acts is well thought out and doesn't boil down to a simple because he can. I always appreciate when a movie or story focuses on the reasons behind things and doesn't just rely on narrative needs to push the story along, using one-dimensional characters and situations. It just adds a bit more realism and makes the movie more enjoyable to watch. Like all romance movies, I don't think it'd be a big revelation to anybody to say that the two leads do get together at the end of this film. But that isn't the part of the ending I want to discuss. See, I have a little bit of a gripe with Amazon here. The Amazon interface on this one really screwed up the ending for me. At the end of the film, the main character does some sort of thing in the sky with holograms, but because it only happens in the last 20 seconds of the film, the streaming service kept cutting away to ads for the next thing they wanted me to watch. So it took me about a dozen times, and this is the clearest I got it. That's just sad. Way to ruin the end of a perfectly good movie with this. Also, just for the record, city-sized sky holograms are not a real thing. So I'm gonna call bull on this one. What kind of Christmas-themed acts of charity would you perform if you had unlimited money? Would you do anything like the characters in this movie? Or something even more creative? The good-natured vibe this movie portrays and the encouragement for us all to perform a little random kindness this holiday season leaves me to give this movie 5 candy canes out of 10. Random Acts of Christmas is the first movie I reviewed which was produced and aired somewhere other than Hallmark Channel. In fact, this is a Lifetime movie, and if you're looking to watch it, you can find it over on Amazon Prime as of the time of this video's publishing. Thanks for watching. I still don't have an outro. How long will I not have an outro? Maybe this will be my outro, just random ways of saying I don't have an outro. Anyway, goodbye.